Hey guys, it's that time of year where the spider population is reached its all-time high, and for the next couple of months until we have our first frost, we're going to see spiders trying to get into our homes. It's a very common thing in the zone 7A where I live, which is the deep southeastern part of the United States. But spiders are one of those things that no one wants to see inside their house. They're perfectly okay to have in the garden because they prevent a lot of the insect damage that you see. So if you do see a large spider in your garden, I would just leave him alone because he's helping you out. But before we head into the greenhouse, I want to show you a beautiful spider I came across this morning, and it is an incredibly, to me, it seems like most people would think spider being beautiful is not true, but this particular spider is quite beautiful, and I'll show it to you before we head into the greenhouse, and I'll show you my spider repellent that's perfectly safe. It won't kill the spider, but it just keeps them from coming into your doors and windows, and I'll show you exactly how to apply it for maximum benefit as well. So let's head over to the other side of the garden and I'll show you this, what I consider to be a beautiful spider. So I understand that a lot of people are absolutely repulsed by spiders, and so if that's the case with you, then this wouldn't be an attractive looking spider to use as well. But anyways, this is a beautiful garden spider. We have them in the fall time of the year, and they're basically just a harmless spider to humans, but to other insects they're quite deadly. I'm going to give you a close-up. If I can move the camera just slightly, I'm going to give you a close-up of what I believe is the egg sac for the next generation. Possibly there's an insect that he's caught or she's caught, but it's inside of this egg sac. So this is a beautiful spider to me, and it's also very, if I can say this right, very beneficial insect here in my garden. And so when I see them, I leave them alone. I let them build their nest. A couple of nights ago, I did actually see a nest starting here, and then this morning I actually saw the spider. So it is, to me, quite a beautiful spider and pretty much harmless to humans. So one last look, you can see this spider is extremely well camouflaged, and you can see there's the web right there, and it's moving back and forth just so slightly in this maybe 1 to 2 mile an hour breeze we have. But if I turn on the irrigation system, she'll quickly run and hide inside of the sweet olive that I have planted here. So it's just, to me, one of those things is truly a garden helper. So I'm going to leave our garden helper alone and head into the greenhouse. So guys, when I say completely harmless to humans, I do understand that if someone was to run into one of the webs, because sometimes they do build a web across a walking path, I understand that that would be quite terrifying to most people. So completely harmless, I guess, is a relative term, but let's get started on making the spider repellent that will keep spiders from sneaking in under the doors and windows of your house. It's really simple to make, and it's only got a few ingredients. So this is a really simple recipe to put together, and it only requires really 2 main ingredients and water. But what I'm going to say later in the video, I'm going to give you 20 additional tips for controlling spiders around your home where they won't come inside and you can keep them away. But anyways, you want the peppermint oil to be as pure and essential, preferably. I know it's more expensive, you get the essential, but that's the best type. Now I wanted to talk just for a second about an essential oil set. I'll put a link in the description down below. But if you're like me and you want to put together a lot of different recipes for a lot of different experiments you have around your house, that's a great kit to have. It has every type of essential oil you can imagine, almost 50, I think it's 48 different types. So instead of having to search out like I've done in the past and buy one bottle at a time, I can have a whole kit, and it's only about $30, so it's a lot cheaper than buying individual bottles. Now, the size of them are not near as big as some of the bottles I've bought in the past, but you want to get essential oils in a large quantity. That's the way to do it, through that link in the description. Now, one thing I want to say about the type of bottle you're putting it into, glass is better because it's going to maintain its potency, and especially if it's a dark glass like this. So I even have it labeled so I know exactly what it is. But having it in a dark glass will have it last longer if you're only using a small amount at a time, if you only have a few windows to do. But if you have a large amount, I would just recommend using something like this solo sprayer, link in the description as well. I have 5 of these around the greenhouse, and none of them have failed, and I've had them for over 5 years. So I really think this is one of the best things to use if you have a lot of windows and door sills you're wanting to treat, as well as any other possible entry points around your house. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 2 cups of water to our sprayer, and you can double this recipe, like I said, if you have a lot of different windows and doors to treat, possible entry points. So we're just going to put 2 cups of distilled water. A little bit of a mess there, but that's our 2 cups. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to add about 15 drops of the essential peppermint oil. And I'm not going to use any of our kit today because I have a large container of this, but roughly about 15 drops or a quarter tablespoon. And we're going to put that into our container. I don't need the funnel for that. And the last ingredient is going to be 2 tablespoons of just standard household vinegar. Now you can use some of the stronger vinegars. I have in the past bought up to 75% concentration vinegar, and it is really strong, but you have to be careful that around breathing, any possible breathing, especially if you're spraying a mist or a stream, you could get some in your eyes. So this is a lot less potent, I believe about 3 to 4%. So that's our main 2 ingredients. We just mix it quite well. And that vinegar will help it emulsify. And so we're going to put our thing back on there, cap, and we're going to head over to some windows, and I'll show you how exactly to apply it and where most of the time spiders are going to be attracted to around your house. Now, some of the places you're going to want to spray for the spiders is any small cracks or opening. I see some webs here already. We're just going to hit that area with our stream, go around the perimeter of the door. And if you have any light fixtures you leave on at night, that's another important area to spray, even around the interior of it, because spiders are going to be really attracted to that. So you're just going to kind of spray around it, because spiders are going to climb up the wall. They might drop in from above, so you just spray a little bit all around it. Now, this is not going to be a once a summer treatment. You're going to do this about once every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the population of spiders. And around windows, I'll give you a close-up of that as well. So the windows of my house are quite old, but they're still pretty well made. They're metal, and so they're not like some of the wood that tends to shrink. But even so, there's still sometimes small gaps and openings that allow them to get into the wall voids. So other places to spray is up high and around any possible entry points, especially where you let the window up. They can sometimes find their way in there if they're really small spiders. So you just kind of spray around that and just do an overall perimeter treatment anywhere the window might open, maybe even down the middle seam. And that's going to act as a repellent. It's not going to kill the spider, but it will repel them away from your window. But again, this is at least once every month, if not every 2 to 3 weeks. Now, this is an area where I often see spiders, and this is a critical area to spray because there's opening for the electrical lines, the AC system, and even the dryer vent. So you want to spray around that area as well, and just give it a good dose, a lot more than you normally would around the windows. You just want to really dose it down, because this is where the spiders are going to feel that air temperature difference and go in looking for possibly a meal. So just keep this area, something like this around your house, spray a little bit hairy. Dryer vents, electrical lines coming in and out, or anywhere there's a small opening. Sometimes even pet doors, if you do a light misting spray around the edges. This is not toxic to pets because it's such a low concentration, so it's not dangerous if they were to lick it. But most of the time pets are not going to lick this. They're going to be actually repulsed by it because their sense of smell is so much better than ours. So such as this cat condo, I wouldn't recommend spraying inside of it because the smell may drive your pet out of it. So just around the outside, maybe around the feet of it, or around the back, somewhere where the cat's not going to be laying. We have 3 outdoor cats, and they love these little cat condos. I'll put a link to one in the description. When my wife ordered it, I thought it was going to be something else I had to put together, but actually she did the entire amount of work getting it assembled. So it's a great little place for our outdoor cats to go. In the wintertime, we let them come into the garage area, but most of the time they're out here just enjoying this little cat condo. Now, this is a universal problem on most garage doors. As you can see, there's a little gap there at the bottom, and that's an ideal place for spiders to make their way in. So just if you'll spray the base of that, that's going to act as a repellent and keep them away. So anywhere that there's a possible entry point, that's critical that you do maybe, in this case, I spray this about twice a month rather than once, and it doesn't bother the cats going in or out of the door. They still they might slow down and take a smell of it, but as far as just being repelling the cats, no, that's not the issue. But this is a great place to spray, is around the base of garage doors. Just as I was walking away, I saw one of my garden helpers that probably eat quite a few spiders, aphids, and other things that I don't want in my roses or any of my other parts of my vegetable garden. But this is just a common praying mantis, and they're great to have around your garden. They make an excellent pest control helper there. Now, this is an area that most people don't think about spraying, but around your trash cans that will draw in ants and all sorts of roaches and everything, and at the same time spiders. So it's a good idea just to spray the base of your trash can and maybe on the inside as well. Another tip that's really important about trash cans, we used to keep our trash can actually in our garage, but we found it attracted a lot of roaches and thus all the other insects that are going to be preying on them. So I keep it way far away from our garage now. It's about 50 or 60 feet from the house, and that draws insects away from the house rather than to the house. Now I do occasionally have a few helpers in the garden getting rid of some insects, and this is one that's quite old and the mother of probably more cats or kittens than I can count, but we've kept her, and she showed up to our house as a stray, but we have caught her on occasion chasing a few spiders and lizards. So I want to give you 20 additional tips for controlling spiders. Now, I think personally the peppermint is my favorite. It works quite well. We rarely see any type of spider in our home. Occasionally if we leave the door open, maybe one will wander in if I haven't did a complete treatment around those garage doors, but most of the time our biggest problem seems to be ants and roaches, and those are even pretty rare as well. So let me go through 20 additional tips that will help you get your spiders under control. Now, another natural method of keeping spiders repelled and away from your house is using cedar wood chips. Spiders hate the smell of cedar, and so that's another item you can purchase. Usually you can get this at your local pet store, and it's just a bedding product that helps keep fleas off your pet, fleas and ticks. But also you can put it around the base of your house, around the edges. It'll last for quite a while. Not all summer, but you may apply it twice, just so it keeps that potent smell around the base of your house. Perfectly safe for your pets, but it will keep the spiders from trying to find their way inside. Now, of course, you're going to need to combine that around the door sills, because obviously you don't want cedar chips right at where you're going in and out. So just spray your door sills and put cedar chips around the rest of your house. Another tip is if you have shrubs and trees touching your house, you don't want that. You want to keep them pruned back 2 to 3 feet to keep the spiders from just making an easy bridge out of those items. Now, diatomaceous earth is another product you can get, and it's a completely organic solution. It's basically just ground up ancient marine life. I believe it's shells and things like that that's been mined out of the earth. So it's perfectly safe. There's no chemicals in it, and you can sprinkle this as you would the cedar chips around the outside of your house. You want to be careful. You don't want to breathe it in or get it in your eyes, so you may want to wear a mask if you're putting out quite a bit of it around the perimeter. Now, another unique item you can use to keep spiders repelled away from your house is just ordinary table salt. Take about 4 tablespoons, fill up your solo sprayer, and go around and spray those window areas. The salt, as they come in contact, will dehydrate the spiders and repel them as well. So it's perfectly safe and completely organic, as the other solutions are. Now, spiders also really dislike the smell of lavender, and that was one of the essential oils in the kit. And another way to keep spiders, if you're having a problem with them in finished areas of your home, is to take a cotton ball and apply just a couple of drops of the lavender oil. Put it wherever you're seeing the spiders, such as drawers, closets, and that smell will repel them. This again is 100% natural, and it smells great in your closet. So lavender can be a great thing to repel spiders. So spiders are also attracted to humidity, and so if you put a dehumidifier, 1 or 2 around your house, depending on its size, the dry air can repel spiders as well. So if you have a lot of moisture in your house, that will sometimes draw in insects and thus other spiders right behind them. So just remember, you want to keep your house as dry as you can tolerate it. Now, another common, and this is probably more well known amongst everyone, but leaving outdoor lights on at nighttime can attract spiders, especially if you're not using a yellow light. A yellow light will attract less insects, and so the spiders won't move in trying to make a meal out of those insects. So just remember, if you do have outdoor porch lights or whatever on all night, you need to switch those lights from a white bulb to a yellow bulb. Almost everyone knows this, but I just thought I'd mention it just in case you have that type of situation going on the perimeter of your house. Now, another natural way you can keep spiders away or repel them from your house is by using just an old sock. And if you're like me, you grow a lot of herbs in your garden like mint and strong smelling things like lemon balm. And this right here has a very strong eucalyptus smell to it, so it just keeps the spiders repelled. You can put it on windowsills, behind furniture, inside of closets, and just set the sock somewhere. And even if they're not dry, you can just put them in there, and over time they will eventually dry and become more concentrated as they dehydrate. So another completely organic and natural way of repelling spiders is to take rosemary stems like this one and place them on your windowsill. That can be a strong repellent to spiders as well. So if you grow a lot of rosemary, and I do, I love rosemary, and I love the smell of it. It reminds me of Christmas. But you can take rosemary stems like this, place them on your windowsills, and that will act as a repellent. I've got a video about how to grow rosemary, one rosemary plant for decades, and I'll link that one up above. Now, there's something that my wife loves doing. She loves vacuuming, and I think she's owned 3 or 4 vacuums in the last decade. But I'm not a vacuuming person. I don't like to vacuum, but vacuuming can definitely help, especially if you vacuum into the corners of each room and up around the top. Sometimes there can be a web up there with tiny eggs in it that you don't see. So remember, vacuuming is pretty common sense. We'll get rid of a lot of spider eggs before they have the chance to hatch out. Now, another natural spray would be coconut oil and vinegar, and you're going to take about a cup of vinegar. You're going to take about 3 tablespoons of this, put it into a gallon of water, 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. It doesn't matter if it's solid or liquid, but basically 3 tablespoons. Put it in a large sprayer, a gallon to 3 gallons, and spray it around all those areas we mentioned previously. The vinegar will act as a repellent, and the coconut oil kind of causes them to have a mobility issue. So you kind of have a double duty spray right here with these two. Now, a lot of species of spider likes clutter, and they like debris around your house, such if you had a wood pile right next to the house, that's going to be an excellent place for them to lay their eggs and multiply. So remember, if you have piles of wood, clutter, leaves piled up against your house, you want to clean those areas out. Firewood is one of those things that people usually have right outside the door, and spiders love those areas. And sometimes the more deadly spiders like to hide in there so they can find their prey. So I always recommend having those things as far away from your house as you can stand, because I know in the wintertime when you're having to walk out and get wood for your fireplace, that's not a pleasant experience, but it's just better to keep it away from the house. Now, as I was saying earlier, my windows are quite old. They're getting close to 50 years. They haven't been replaced, and it's really past due time to replace them. But if you're like me and you have older windows around your house, look for small gaps and openings around the perimeter of the window and take some paintable caulk, whatever, if it matches your brick or siding, whatever you have, and put that around there to seal up those possible openings, because spiders can sense the air temperature difference and think they're going into a place that may have water and insects. So it really attracts them in there when you have an air leak around those windows and doors. So I like finding unusual solutions to problems and things that you have around your house already that might work. If you don't have an essential oil kit or you don't have peppermint oil, something like minty toothpaste you could put in those small cracks and openings, smear it very thin, and the smell of that toothpaste will last for quite a while and also repel them away from your windows or small openings where they might try to get inside. Now, there's a few that I've never tried, but I did a lot of research online finding everything from A to Z that might repel spiders. And since I grow a lot of cucumber varieties in the garden, I read this and I thought that's kind of an interesting idea. Again, I've never tried it, so it might be something you might want to try if you do grow cucumbers, specifically the bitter variety of cucumbers. Taking a slice of cucumber and putting it on a windowsill is said to repel spiders away. So I can't confirm that, but that is something I read, that in some places of the world, they actually take just an ordinary cucumber where they don't have access to a lot of these more things that we can get so easily from Amazon. So taking that cucumber might help if it's the bitter variety. Now, another unusual practice I read that some people do is they take horse chestnuts. Now, I'm not even sure if I have one of those close to my house, but taking horse chestnuts and lining them up on your windowsills and maybe around door and entry points, not where you're going to slide down on them, but just maybe on each side of the doorway. They say that there's a chemical in the horse chestnut that repels spider. Can't confirm this because I've never tried it, but I did read it in my research on finding all the ways I could think of and other people have used to repel spiders. Now, I eat a lot of citrus, and they say that citrus peels can repel spiders. So setting some citrus peels on your windowsills, or even a discarded lemon that you're about to throw in the trash, setting them on your windowsill could repel spiders as well. Now, in my house, I have an old humidor with some cigars that are terribly dehydrated, and tobacco makes a natural insecticide. So if you have access to tobacco leaves, whether they're old or new, that will work as well. If you just take maybe a handful of tobacco and put it in a quarter, maybe half gallon container, something like the one I showed you, this one right here, and spray that after it's set for about 24 to 48 hours. Tobacco can make a natural insecticide. So not only will it repel them, but the tobacco itself can kill any webs you see around your windows. So guys, I have a lot of different videos and a lot of different subjects. Most of them revolve around home and garden. So you might take a look at some of my other videos in my library. And I want to say, I really appreciate you watching so much. And if you have any questions or comments you want me to review, or have something you want me to answer, please subscribe first, because I get so many comments, it's hard to go through all of them. Sometimes I'll spend 30 minutes to an hour just going through comments. So if you have a question, please become a public subscriber first, and that's the way I filter all my comments that come through, so I can answer those people first because they've taken the time to subscribe to me. And I really appreciate that. So guys, have a great day, and thanks for watching.